Davin and Jack are not role models. They're just two guys in a garage drinking beer and talking. Some of what is said is not in the best taste or interest of national security. Some of the statistics they cite are not 100% accurate. Do your own research. They may be wrong about anything and everything. Their memories are bad because they're kind of old and have been drinking. Oh yeah, always remember to drink responsibly. Who are we kidding? The only people that are watching this are their moms and some random guy who passed out with autoplay on. And welcome to 240 Tuesdays. Davin and Jack are not role models. They're just two guys in a garage drinking beer and talking. Some of what is said is not in the best taste or interest of national security. Some of the statistics they cite are not 100% accurate. Do your own research. They may be wrong about anything and everything. Their memories are bad because they're kind of old and have been drinking. Oh yeah, always remember to drink responsibly. Who are we kidding? The only people that are watching this are their moms and some random guy who passed out with autoplay on. And welcome to 240 Tuesdays.
Oh, technical difficulties. Welcome back to 240 Tuesdays. I'm Davin.
I'm Jack, and yeah, welcome back. Today we're going to start with gun control part 2. We talked about it briefly this morning, and with some of the new legislation that's looking to be passed, we figured, yeah, why the heck not? Let's do gun control part 2. Today was an important day as far as history goes, so I got a bunch of facts after we handle the gun control business. There's probably going to be a part 3, but we'll dig into it. So Davin went first last week, so this week I'll go first.
For updates, did you want to do those quick updates first at the beginning, or you want to wait?
What updates?
The singers?
Oh, nah, we'll get to that after.
Okay.
Yeah, but so. Anyway, so first I'm just gonna, since we'll keep it a little bit more specific because gun control is such a broad umbrella topic. They're talking about passing the red flag legislation, and personally, I don't see any downside to that at all. I was reading a little bit about it as the stories got more prevalent, and the idea of having loved ones or law enforcement recommend a person be red flagged, have an investigation happen to determine whether or not it's legit, and if it is determined to be legit, to confiscate their firearms because they're a danger to themselves or others. And I think that's a fantastic idea. I know it would piss people off, and I hope there's some anonymity in the reporting process, but yeah, I think it's great. I think it's step one. Because we need to do many things. But yeah, what do you think?
I think I should have went first. So the situation with red flag laws that I 100% think is false is there's already laws on the books, mental health laws, that if you think somebody is in that sort of situation where they need help, they can be taken against their will, due to the facts of the evidence, into some sort of mental health facility to help them.
Yeah.
Okay? I do not believe in any way their guns should either be taken away, and or if they think they have guns, now we're looking at a registration process for guns through the government, which is also horrible. Right now, if there's an issue, there's facts, you can have somebody committed, looked at, taken care of without taking guns away and still removing them from the home. I think especially, and we're going to fade into this too, during the Democratic debates, the issue, especially the Elizabeth Warren side, which I'll talk about here in a little bit, they want to take guns away. I don't think that's feasible for one, and it's not going to happen. Adding a red flag law to take somebody's guns away because they might harm themselves and or others, they already have laws right now.
Okay, well, what's the downside?
The downside?
Yeah.
They're not taking someone's guns away and infringing on their rights.
No, okay, that's not a downside. Okay, so yes, there are measures in place that somebody can be removed from a situation or have their firearms confiscated. Like if you're in an ongoing trial for a felony or impersonating an officer or something like that, they have justification to remove your firearms pending the completion of the trial, whether you're proven guilty or innocent, whatever. That's all great, but if somebody just calls up and is like, hey, I think my buddy is going to do something bad to himself or somebody else, then the police will do a welfare check, and then he can put on a smile, and then as soon as the police leave, he can do whatever he wants to because he still has his firearms.
Okay.
And, like, removing firearms from the hands of dangerous people is a positive thing. I don't see what's negative about that.
Here's what's negative too. Domestic abusers that have been proven domestic assault. Okay,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they are not allowed by law to have firearms. Okay,
Okay.
there's many other avenues to remove firearms from people.
Yeah.
When you remove somebody's due process and put them in custody and ban them from their constitutional rights, you have no more due process that this country was built on. You cannot accuse somebody, take them away, take away their property, and deny them their rights without due process.
Yeah, but okay, so I think, speaking on due process specifically, like there are different. You're not going to have a jury trial for every question that comes up regarding these red flags, but you are going to have an investigation about it, and the investigation is going to determine whether the person who's reporting it is full of shit or whether it's legit, and this person should probably not have access to a gun right now. And it's not permanent. Like if you are added, you can be removed. And so it's like all it is in an emergent situation, removing the access from a potential crazy person having access to guns. Because in part one, we both agreed crazy people with guns are bad.
Crazy people with guns is bad, but there's already laws on the books that allow the police
Yeah,
to
but they're
come and remove that person.
They're crap. Like,
So they remove the person and take that person away, remove them from the house that a possible gun could be at, and the only way that somebody would know that they have a gun in the house is by the reporting party, I'm going to get there, calls up and says this person is a danger to themselves.
yeah.
They have guns in the house, you need to go take them. So not only are they following the current laws and removing them from the house, but now they're going to confiscate illegally the weapons in the house that the person owns, if there is any.
Okay, so it's not illegal because it's law enforcement doing the removal. So
So it's the government coming taking your guns. The government's taking your guns.
it's not your guns. It's potentially crazy people that are going to do bad things guns.
Okay.
So responsible gun owners are going to be just fine.
Here's a quick 2-minute story. Okay? This Colorado, you like that?
Uh-huh.
Has this thing called Safe to Tell.
Yeah.
It's an app for the high school kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, one night, we take my daughter's cell phone away, ground her to her room.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's fine.
Okay.
I'm in the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
The wife's upstairs getting ready for work. She works nights. All of a sudden, there's a knocking on our door.
Mm-hmm.
A police officer got a message through Safe to Tell that our daughter was being abused because her friends could not contact her via her cell phone because she was grounded.
Okay.
Okay. This case, and especially online, every time one of the local news says, oh, here's a Safe to Tell story. Safe to Tell is basically a bullying tool that somebody can make a report and have the police show up at your house, unjustifiable, and say, hey, your kid can't talk to her friends because you took her phone away. Her friends are worried for her safety and life. We're going to walk through your house and justify that your daughter is not being abused.
Okay.
So, real quick, I'm just going to end this.
All right, I got you.
So the cop comes in, sees me in a towel coming out of the hot tub.
Right.
Actually stood outside of the house for about 4 to 5 minutes listening for yelling, breaking.
Doing his due diligence.
His due diligence found nothing unfounded. And because of an app and somebody said something, that this ties directly into the red flag law. Now you don't know it, and I might know it a little better than you.
Okay.
Ever had a disgruntled ex-girlfriend? Ex-wife?
No.
Yeah. You haven't. That's why I said that. So you're going to break up. You're one of 10 million stories.
Mm-hmm.
You're breaking up. You kick your cheating woman out of the house, your house that she's living in,
Okay.
and she goes away.
And she calls a red flag.
There we go. Now we have her saying, he's suicidal, he's crazy, he kicked me out of the house, he has a house full of guns. Tell me there's not going to be 10 police officers pulling up to that house after you kick this crazy woman out of your house.
I will tell you that. Okay.
It's not going to happen.
So, just the exact same. Okay. So first, I want to talk about safe to tell.
One of the most ridiculous things that Jefferson, or I don't want to say
Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado has implemented.
Disagree. So first off, it actually does help a lot because a lot of the kids that could potentially do bad things, similar to Columbine or the other school shootings that were performed by students, oftentimes a conversation and somebody listening to them is the catalyst to them getting better mentally and not going down that path. So having a venue where people can potentially report that is fantastic. And yes, like every system, there will be abuses. And the abuses have to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. And if her friends, sticking with your example, were overzealous and freaking out, but did you go to jail that night? No, you didn't. You were inconvenienced for a few minutes, and you were honest, and everything was fine. Which is the exact same thing that would happen if you got red flagged by a crazy ex-girlfriend. Because they would come over here, they would have a conversation with you, you would explain the situation, and they'd say, "Aight," and bounce. They wouldn't just be like, "Well, she said," because, like, people's accounts are a portion of evidence.
You really trust the government and the cities to make that determination by somebody else on your mental state in that time?
More than I trust potential crazy people wallowing away until they do something horrific.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This is great because we're going to come back around to this.
Because, yeah, if it's going to prevent violence.
Safe to Tell is a great venue for people with mental health issues to get help and support that they need.
Well, that's certainly a portion of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because,
yeah, that's great.
Because if people don't have... Okay, so Columbine, if any number of those kids had been like, "Hey, these guys are acting super weird," and the police showed up and went in their rooms where their parents didn't go, unfortunately, and they're like, "Well, this is bomb-making material," then you just stopped a mass shooting.
Columbine is a horrible example, and here's why. Because both the people that will not be named during Columbine were both informants for the sheriff's department and the local police department, and were given leniency several times in previous incidents because of that fact. And that is a gosh-given fact that they were informants for the school.
For what? What did they inform?
On the bullying and the drugs. So that gave them a lot more leniency, and their parents, to do what they needed.
I don't know about that.
Nah, look it up.
I intend to.
Okay.
But all right. Anyway.
Okay. So on the side note of red flag laws, you cannot, just in general, you cannot infringe on my right because of the word of somebody else. Now, a lot of people, especially on Suicide Prevention Day, everybody's putting that out there. I'm recently part of a new group, which we'll talk about later, and that group had its issue within that group, and people stand up every other meeting we go to. They're like, if you have a problem, we are a family, you need to help out. You come to somebody.
Yeah.
I think mental illness, which we're going to get to soon, is a great venue to help and stop people from either self-harm and or violence.
Helping with mental illness is what you meant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm coming around to a subject and not doing that
right.
great of a job.
No,
so.
I got you. So, okay. So, I don't understand where it's an infringement of your rights if they just come to have a conversation with you. Like, that's,
That's not always.
It's on every cop car, protect and serve. So if they're trying to do both of those things when they come to your house,
I thought it said to punish and enslave.
No.
Yeah. That's the Transformers movie, people. I'm just making a funny reference.
But so, it's a welfare check. You could do the exact same thing with anybody. You could say, "Hey, I haven't seen my neighbor in 3 days. Can we do a welfare check?"
A welfare check is fine. But when somebody asks me, do you have any guns or weapons in the house? That's none of your friggin' business. Not at all. It's nobody's business what I have in my house to protect my family.
Yeah, and I'm sure you could hash that out with the officer.
Yeah. But if you put it in a law, again, it's a law taking away guns from people.
Potentially.
But
because it's not just automatic, and people aren't gonna be like a waterfall of firearms falling out of their houses. It's like, if you are identified as a potential threat to yourself or others, then we're gonna confiscate your weapon so you don't use that to do it. And if you're not, you're gonna be all right.
And there's current laws on the books that currently do that.
They are
that
inadequate.
do not confiscate your weapons or take away any of your rights.
Okay. But they don't succeed. You can.
No.
Our last.
Here's the thing that doesn't succeed. Okay, the world thinks that we have a gun violence problem. We do. We don't have a mental health problem.
We have both.
So 60% of all gun violence, and this is a fact which I actually looked. 60% of all gun violence is suicide by handgun.
Yeah.
So why do we not address, such as Safe to Tell, and give people more of a venue, more counselors, cheaper mental health stuff? We're not doing that. In the Democratic debates, we want to take away guns. Guns isn't the problem. The mental health problem is the problem.
It's twofold. Because mentally...
You can't address the problem by taking away guns. You need to address the problem.
Can. So you have a person who is in a bad way. They're thinking about harming themselves, or they're thinking about harming others or whatever. But let's stick with suicide, because you're right, 60%. And which is a ridiculous number.
Ridiculous
if you
by handguns, not ARs, not rifles, not long guns.
If you don't have a gun, then you're going to either pursue alternate methods, or I can't do this quickly and painlessly.
Why don't you address the issue at the root and kill the root and go after...
Because the NRA doesn't care about mentally ill people. They care about gun sales.
We're not talking about... No, the NRA doesn't care about gun sales. They care about, memberships and protecting the right of Americans.
Yeah, and memberships
NRA has nothing to do with 60% of the suicides on guns.
It does not.
With handguns.
But what it does have to do with...
So why doesn't the legislation and the government, instead of talking about taking away people's Second Amendment right, talk about health care and getting people the help they need rather than infringing on their rights?
Okay, the Second Amendment needs to be readdressed.
No, you just need to reread it.
No, it's 2 sentences. I have read it.
Shall not be infringed.
Hey, real quick, a well-armed militia, when was that defined to be a person? This is...
Actually, if you look in the Supreme Court in 1846, they took the militia and said it goes directly towards the people, against the government.
That was not in 1886.
We'll
because the Supreme Court ruled on it in 2008. And quick refresher, who was the president in 2008?
Your man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, newly 2008.
But that's neither here nor there.
We spent 8 years blaming somebody else for his failures.
No. He didn't blame anybody.
Oh, he constantly blamed.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
he friggin' leveled up and handled some business.
No.
He wasn't like, oh, this previous administration screwed me, like the current dude is doing. But no. Anyway, but that's beside the point. What is not beside the point is that the Second Amendment needs to be revisited. It was written with the initial Constitution and the Bill of Rights And at that point, they absolutely needed to stay armed to defend themselves of a tyrannical government because they had literally just booted out the guys they were freeing themselves from. So
And during that process, they were actually called terrorists.
yeah, they were. And
Because
they were rebelling
wanted
against
guns,
the established
and they
government.
were rebelling against people that were trying to take their guns away so they
No,
could
it had
control
nothing
and
to do
rule
with
them.
trying to take their guns away.
100%.
They had to use guns to fight people with guns. Like if
Exactly.
if you're
That's
trying,
my point. So if you take away somebody's guns and a government comes in, a socialist government, such as happened all around the world,
Mm-hmm.
including Germany, what's the first thing you do to take power over the people? Take away their rights.
Oh my God!
By
So
taking away their rights, you're taking away their guns.
You're scared that we're gonna become a police state and you're not gonna have the firearms to defend yourself.
Oh, 100%.
Are you kidding me?
Especially after the Democratic debates.
If your boy manages to get another term,
Manages. Oh, it's happening. With how crazy and far left
Okay.
the Democrats are going,
we'll see. That's a year and 3 months away.
you tell
2
me,
months, yeah.
you tell me that I have to give up my guns to protect my family and property. I
my
will never give up my guns.
That is such an arbitrary defense for gun ownership. Like if you were gonna
it's
say
100% defense.
Yeah, it is
When you
applicable.
when you disarm the people, the government can now rule in any way they want, and the militia cannot rise up.
We're a
against the
democracy, not a dictatorship. There's not going to be a military marching through our street. There's not. That's just not the way this country is.
You're right. You're going to have people in masks that hide behind them and assault people and hinder people's free speech to take over. You're right. That's what's it. It's happening right now.
No, it's not. You're back to fascism, like, and that's still not applicable. So okay, so first,
Taking away people's free speech, taking away
free
people's
speech-
guns.
No, okay, so free speech. We're not. That's a whole other topic. Like, we're not touching that today. But we're sticking with guns. So first, if you were to say, I want my gun because I like shooting as a hobby, or I like hunting, or something like that, that is so much more legitimate than I need a firearm to protect myself. Because firearms,
Oh heck no!
heck,
Are
yes,
you kidding?
you can't-
Firearms are for protection, and in that process,
that's what we all
you
talk
can-
about,
you
but that
can
is just
feed-
not applicable. Because the vast majority of gun owners are never going to be presented with an opportunity to use their firearm in defense. But
That's-
they are going to be presented with opportunities for their firearm to be picked up by their kid and misfired, or them to shoot
no, that's
themselves.
irresponsible
or
gun
their-
owners.
Yeah,
And that's not
the mentally
everybody.
ill. But as far as being like, I need my gun to defend my house and my property, there is a very small chance that you will ever have that opportunity.
I would rather have that opportunity and that opportunity available than something happen to my family.
And I would rather not have guns around so something doesn't happen in all the other instances that involve guns other than defending your property. Because it's just numbers at that point. Like, like if you look at, shoot, what was it? The National Crime Victimization Survey, something like 1% of all crimes that are reported have been prevented with a firearm. And that's on a yearly basis. It's ridiculously low.
And there's no way, because I have other stuff that totally contradicts.
If you're going to bring up the Kurtz test, then that's ludicrous,
No.
and that's from the 90s.
No, not even that. I mean, if you look at Australia, so Australia had all their guns banned, okay? So-
Please talk about Australia.
So, the armed robberies increased by 69% for the last 2 years after the gun ban.
So
The armed
you're talking about,
assaults
hold on, pause.
raised by 19% 2 years
I'm going to
after
let
the
you.
gun ban.
I want you to continue because
Okay.
you made the notes. But you're saying the parliamentary action after Thousand Oaks, their last mass shooting.
No, I'm talking about when Australia did the mass buyback, which didn't work.
No,
And
that's Australia or New Zealand.
Australia.
Okay. Well, so
Guns are banned in Australia.
all of the Australia stuff started in '96 with Thousand Oaks. Like that was their last mass shooting for like 20 some years.
And that wasn't the island. Or was that the island?
Well, it is an island and a country, but New Zealand's also the like.
Okay,
island.
I think the Thousand Oaks was the
That-
camp island where the guy rode out a boat with a bunch of guns to an island, and there's a documentary on Netflix on it.
I did not see that.
Yeah, okay.
But okay, so there's Thousand Oaks in Australia, and then there's Christchurch in New Zealand. So those, and so okay, so anyway, keep going with your
Christchurch.
stats
Okay, so
because I got it.
you got it. The whole situation comes down. You cannot and will not get rid of guns. If
you won't.
everything with the laws that the government goes after
Mm-hmm.
all goes directly towards law-abiding citizens. Okay?
Okay. But
You're not. I mean, the biggest, and here's the awesomest stat. Okay,
Okay.
Chicago alone in 2012, Chicago had more deaths in the city of Chicago than Japan did the entire nation for 2012.
Yeah, but that's not an argument to keep guns, man. That's like
So you restrict people from having guns. You take guns away from law-abiding citizens. Gang and drug violence kills more people in one city in a nation of 300 million people than the entire nation of Japan.
who has had guns banned for a long time. That's what makes sense about it. Like,
No.
of course, Chicago has more gun violence than Japan.
So the more you
Japan
restrict
doesn't have
people,
guns.
So the more you restrict people, and the less guns Chicago has made it safer. Because
No,
law-abiding
they
citizens
don't have less guns in
can-
Chicago.
Can no.
There's been no legislation to take guns away from people in Chicago. So here's
You can't own gun in Chicago unless you're ex-law enforcement. If I am in Chicago, I cannot have a gun to protect my house or family.
you can
But
register firearms in Illinois.
the city of Chicago. So
So you go to the neighboring city, but you can
the
still be a
neighbor,
registered
that's against the
gun
law
owner.
because I'm going to get a gun and bring it over to Chicago where I'm not allowed to have gun. Now the crackhead on the street that has guns,
How does a crackhead afford a gun? Which is the point I want to bring up right now.
law-abiding
So-
citizens are the only ones that are hindered by these laws.
Untrue. So, and I'll tell you why. Because
Somebody's here. The Texas shooting that just happened. Okay, he actually tried to buy a gun and went through a background check and was denied.
Yeah.
The law denied him of buying a gun.
Yep.
He was still able illegally, outside of the current law, to buy a gun and go kill people.
And if that
So-
gun
so-
wasn't
so tell me-
available, he
so
wouldn't
tell
have been
me-
able to buy it.
You're not getting rid of 60 million guns in this country.
There's
You're not
way more than
confiscating.
60 million. There's like, okay, so first off, I'm going to touch on that, then I'm going to go back to the criminals. So
There's more than 60 million guns. Yes.
way more. Like the United States is the only country in the world that has more guns than citizens. And like that's ridiculous. So, but that it doesn't matter. That's just something I found. But okay, so hypothetical. You have the voluntary gun give back, whatever. I agree. It's going to be nearly impossible in an immediate future situation to get rid of all guns. But it's a step in the right direction, and gradually, as criminals get arrested or die or various other connections to gun-related incidents,
Oh, but
more
putting-
and more firearms, are going to be really removed from the category. And you're going to stop new firearms from coming in. And so then the bad guys are going to be forced to buy firearms on the black market.
Which they already do. They
And-
already get guns and they already kill people, even with laws that prevent them, such as
But
background checks.
The reason that having firearms only available on the black market is technically a good thing, because I agree, guns aren't going to always go away, but having them available only via the black market is the price skyrockets.
So
And when the price skyrockets, assholes that get pissed off because they got cut in traffic are not going to go pay 20 grand to get an AR off the black market, as opposed to spending 1 grand and getting an AR the next few days after they pass a valid background check. Like, it's an idiot who wants to make bad decisions may be able to acquire $1,000 way more quickly than they'll be able to acquire $20,000 or $30,000 for a black market firearm.
you are not going to take a law-abiding citizen that follows all the rules, all the background checks, locks up not only guns, guns in the safe, ammo in a different part of the house than the guns, and the ammo cases are locked.
Okay, then how is
To
that
take
valid for
away my
self-defense? Like, I'm just
Well,
saying.
no.
if
Not
you-
only you said you started out with people that go hunting and want to go for target practice. Why not?
I say that's a better version than protection because it's at least legit. Like, you can go hunting on weekends, you can go target shooting whenever you want. Like, you can, like, so that's actually a valid use of firearms instead of being like, don't take my stuff because I need to protect folks. It's like, okay, cool. In this hypothetical where you live in fear constantly,
Okay.
yeah, maybe you need a firearm.
So here's not a hypothetical. So I have a second job that during the winter time
We brought this up in part one, but keep
it
going.
gets dark. Okay?
And my reply to this story is that's when you call the police.
I'm not going to call the police when I have a crackhead with a knife or a gun sitting there trying to rob me, and I'm going to be like, bro, hold on.
He's not trying to
I need
rob
to call
you.
the police because I have cash in my hand. I'm out in the open. It's dark.
That is a hypothetical.
That happens all the time. Muggings and robberies.
You have Westminster crackheads coming up to you to be
Oh,
like,
I'll tell you
give
what.
me that stuff. It's hypothetical. It is.
No, because I weekly have to run off homeless and people living in their cars.
Yeah, but they're not a crackhead trying to rob you at knife point.
You know what? I'm not going to take the chance. I'm
And
not
you
going to
just
take
said-
the chance.
And besides, you just said crackheads have guns. So
Well, they could. Look at Chicago.
it's not. Crackheads don't have guns in Chicago.
Crackheads have guns.
If a crackhead
Drug
can
dealers
afford-
have guns.
If a crackhead
Gangsters
can
have
afford-
guns.
If a crackhead can afford a gun, he's not gonna be on the street doing bad deeds to afford his next rock. Because guns cost money.
All right, to back up Jax, this is a fact that I just pulled off. Okay, U.S. is the #1 in the world for gun ownership,
Yeah.
but we are 28th in the world for gun murders.
No, we're not. We're 7th.
No.
Where did you get your 28th stat?
From the friggin' Huffington Post article I just opened up. If you look up the myths on gun laws, there is a billion facts that sit there and show
Okay, we may be 28th in one particular category.
for gun murders. We're not talking about
Okay.
suicides. But
Suicides are absolutely a factor. You can't blow that off.
suicides are by handguns, not by ARs. Everything in the news media
Yeah.
says ARs and rifles.
I don't.
So-
I say handguns.
Well, you're not the Democratic Party that's going up for election next year.
because they're trying to
that
get
want
buzz phrases that people like. And that's, I mean, whatever. Every candidate does
I'm waiting
that.
for you to say it. I've been waiting for 6 episodes for you to say the A word. So,
I'm not going to say that.
yeah, because you know that every time somebody says that on the news, they're completely false and wrong.
Well, I think you have to look at the definition of assault, but I'm not going to say it in relation to assault rifles.
This is a pen. This is a pen.
Yeah.
That's an assault pen.
Yeah.
Okay, you cannot
Yeah.
legislate assault.
No,
Especially,
I agree. I agree.
Especially
No.
when you're talking
Yeah,
about
no,
guns.
you can't legislate assault in that manner. Like, yeah, like that's dumb.
Yeah,
Being
that's
like,
no
it's
fun.
an assault rifle.
That's no fun. I wanted you to jump on that, but we've already
No, I
talked
don't
about
give a
that.
shit because it's like no, because handguns are the problem. It's not ARs and people build your own Barbie kit with look at this scope I added, bro, and look at this vented barrel, bro. It's no,
Hey,
like
that
that's
guy could be out at a bar drinking and driving and killing people, but instead he's taking his time and money on a jigsaw puzzle.
ARs are semi-automatic, and semi-automatic is a problem. But it's
Semi-automatic's a
nowhere near as
problem.
much of a problem as handguns. Like handguns.
Handguns are semi-automatic.
Thank you for reiterating my point.
So there's no issue there.
Yeah, there is. Because semi-automatics in all forms should be bounced right the hell out of here. Get back to just hunting rifles and maybe a shotgun for home protection.
No,
But you
no, a
don't
shotgun
need-
would be semi-automatic, except if you're using like an
Well,
over-under
if it's a
ski
pistol,
shot.
if it's a pistol grip Mossberg where you're just like boom, boom, boom,
Semi-automatic.
then get rid of
Semi-automatic.
it. Double barrel shotguns and bolt action rifles.
Okay. Here's the scenario. And I want to quote the comedian, and I want to say it was the new Chris Rock special, talking about crackheads coming in.
I believe you have my bullets. No, that was his old one.
Yeah, where the crackhead's getting in the change jar in the kitchen, and he goes down with his shotgun, and he has birdshot, buckshot, Birdshot.
Oh, Dave Chappelle. That's
yeah,
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. And he's like, boo, but I misjudged. It wasn't a meth head. It was a crackhead.
Yeah.
So I had the...
No, it wasn't a crackhead, it was a meth head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But either way,
Yeah.
that special's fantastic.
Oh, it was awesome.
Either way, like, for your protection, double barrel shotgun. For your hunting and target practicing
Okay,
hobby,
Joe Biden.
bolt action rifle. Like, we don't need all this crazy ass shit that can be abused by bad people. Like, what is the point of that? Why is your hobby more valuable than a stranger's life? Like, that's what bothers me.
When a stranger decides to harm or break in to my property that I work for to harm me or my family,
And you
his
got your
life
trusty
ain't
double
shit.
Yeah, but you got your trusty double barrel on hand. Like that. Like we don't need to get rid of all firearms because that's ludicrous. But we should it's ludicrous in this country. It just won't happen. But we absolutely should limit the types of firearms. The same way we should limit the types of magazines, because they may be fun on a weekend to go target shooting and use whatever extended mag you want, so you
it's
have
fine.
to reload.
You've done it too. It's fine.
I absolutely have. But if I have to sacrifice that time in my life where I'm like, woo, this is fun, for removing that aspect of things from the equation so that people don't have access to it, hell yeah. Because, like, no, that's what's messed up, is you have all these things available that need to be removed from the equation because people are just trying to make money off of it, and every time legislation is talked about, other people who are terrified go out and buy more guns, and it's just this never-ending cycle of fear. And we don't need to be constantly afraid. We do need to remove the factors from the equation that allow bad people to kill a lot of people.
There is more talking points with guns or weapons or assault style stuff right now. When you look at it, and I'm actually going to kind of do a little U-turn here so I don't sound too crazy. All through history, you ban something, it's still there. There's still a black market.
Yeah.
There's still something from it. So what they have done is they have legislated so hard that now the good law-abiding citizen,
Okay.
which I'm going to protect my house and family, is now the one who's going to have their guns taken away when the person who is not a law-abiding citizen is still going to have a gun, and he's still going to go out, rob, steal, and cheat with that gun and kill people.
All right, we already mentioned this, but I'm going to revisit it anyway. So, like, it's a beginning of the process. Like, that's what you do. Because, okay, so with Australia's voluntary gun submission, hold on, it was something like 2,000 guns or something like that were recovered from the voluntary. What are you doing?
No, I was checking the chat, but the chat doesn't work for us anymore.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not looking anything up or checking anything.
Anyway, so it was something like 2,000. Like, it was really low compared to the total amount of guns that were in the country, and that's fine. But it's a start. And then you have somebody who, like, okay, so it's the beginning of the process of the removal of guns from the country in its entirety. Similarly to what they did in London and Japan and various other European countries that have removed firearms except for specific situations. Like you have like Iceland off the top of my head. I think it has like rifles for hunting and protecting your property from like predatory animals and that kind of thing. I think it's Norway that you can have one rifle per household for the exact same reason, and hunting is an innate part of their culture. So like, and their gun deaths dropped substantially because of it. But that takes time. And the culture around guns has to change. Because just being like...
I think the education around guns and looking at the problems such as mental health and taking it at the root rather than wiping it off the top.
Okay, we're going to talk about mental health.
You take away guns... just side note, we have like 3 minutes.
I know, I was watching.
Yeah.
But okay, mental health. Let's talk about that explicitly. Because every country on Earth has people who are suffering from mental health issues. The United States has people who are suffering from mental health issues and can get a gun. And that's the problem. Like, that's it.
If you take care of the root cause of the situation. In the 50s,
The availability of firearms.
50s and 60s, they had gun classes in schools, firearms training, hunter training in classes.
Yeah, hunter training.
And when you start taking that stuff away in society over the last 40 and 50 years, and we're coming up to a...
That wouldn't have stopped mass shootings. It just would have made them better at it.
Better at it.
Because, like...
They didn't have the mental issues and problems with society back then as they do now.
Okay, so mental health issues have been around since people have been around. And they just haven't been diagnosed. So, the availability and access to firearms is a connected problem to mental health issues. Two-pronged resolution to the situation. Because, yeah, absolutely we have to help out the mentally ill. We also have to reduce the amount of firearms.
Guns might be the easiest way for somebody to kill themselves.
Yeah.
When you take guns out of the equation, people are still going to kill themselves.
They may attempt it.
They're still going to try to kill themselves. So you still have somebody with a mental illness that wants to kill themselves. Mm-hmm. They are going to do it either way. So why not address the mental illness side of it rather than saying we got to get guns away, so now next we get knives away. Okay. Then we get scissors. Then we get sharp objects.
No,
and then we're all walking around with helmets and participation ribbons because we gave our guns up.
That is such a ridiculous extrapolation.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It makes perfect sense.
Okay, so take any other method of suicide. They fail way more dramatically than guns. So you have I'm struggling. I'm taking myself out of this situation. You down a whole bunch of pills. Way less successful than a gun. I'm going to cut my wrist in the bathtub. Way less successful than guns.
There is more people.
And then they get identified as mentally ill and they get the help they need.
There is more people that die in a year in the United States that is number one for gun ownership of opioid addiction and overdoses than they do of guns.
So what? So we're also super shitty about drug control, but we're like that doesn't matter at all. Just because it's not as bad as this horrible situation doesn't mean it's not bad.
The talking point is guns. We need to take guns away so the mental people don't hurt other people with it
or themselves.
But yet we still have other addictions such as opioids and drugs and everything else that kills a ton. So why don't we start at the top and go down for the thing that kills people the most and start regulating that before we get to the bottom and go with guns?
Well, it's okay. It's guns aren't at the bottom, but they very well may not be at the top.
Guns aren't even at the top 10 of the top 10 things that kill people in the United States.
They're number 11, which is why it's ridiculous to put. Yes, they are. It's 40,000. It's 40,000, and number 10 is 42,000.
No,
guns are right there. Yes, we brought it up in the first one, but either way,
okay,
all right.
No. I brought up the first 10 things in the first episode that kill way more people than guns.
Okay.
And nobody's doing anything about that. We just want to talk about guns. Guns, rather than the mental health or the drugs or the fucking fast food people dying of heart attacks and coronary disease every single day.
So we're, all right, so guns are a easily solvable issue. It just takes people...
It's not easily solvable. The easily solvable thing is, hey, don't fucking go eat McDonald's every day and die at the age of 43 and live off of government subsidies because you're fat and lazy and didn't take care of yourself. So, that's like number 3. Okay, but let's jump down to, we'll say, number 11.
You can't blame McDonald's for heart disease. Like,
no, you gotta blame the people. You're right. So why don't we, so the coronary disease from fat people that don't have self-restraint and can't work out. So should we start banning McDonald's? No. We're not banning companies and McDonald's because they feed shitty food to people.
We're not banning Magnum from manufacturing firearms or Colt or Winchester, and those are the only 3 I can think of.
You're right. But heart disease and overweight kills more people than guns. So why are we going after these people that feed poison?
If we're going to talk about McDonald's, they have been petitioned for a long time, which is why they do their healthier options.
Healthier options.
Because they don't want to kill people. If they kill people, it's a customer.
I want a Big Mac, a large fries,
and a Diet Coke.
Yeah, you know that. You know that.
So what, like, that is a person's choice. Like, so whatever.
You're right. You're right. It's the person's choice, but instead of going after the choices or the where it got them,
So there are billions of people who eat McDonald's and don't die of heart disease.
oh, it's gonna happen.
So you have to remove
but it's more people than are.
firearms because firearms are a death sentence. Like, 'cause that's what it is.
You started
It's
it.
so easy to be like, pew pew dead, than munch burgers for 40 years. Like, are you kidding? That's not even a valid comparison.
Okay, I'm gonna make one statement, and then we're gonna move on. We're gonna have a nice time. We're gonna finish the conversation and go into.
We're going to part 3.
Go into part 3 when another Democrat wants to take away my guns. Here's the
I'm
final.
so excited for next November.
Here's the whole. Oh, hey, why don't we maybe live stream the election on here? And
Oh my, that is a fantastic
isn't
idea.
it? Good stuff.
Yes.
Yes. We'll sit here with 4 TVs
Oh
and
my
we'll just
God.
talk shit and drink. the
And I'm
entire
gonna
night.
cab it home because there's no way I'm driving after that.
Here's the only thing that nobody is talking to me about.
Okay, alright.
And maybe you.
Okay.
I'm a law-abiding citizen. Okay, I work. I pay my taxes. I follow the laws. I'm perfect.
Cool.
I am never going to give up a firearm if it means that somebody's going to come to my front door, kick it in, and harm my family.
Of course not.
There's no way.
I understand, and you're
So-
with the vast majority of people that own guns. Like, that's, yeah, of course.
So-
like, that's
so you're not-
the main argument.
So when somebody's
saying
standing up
that's-
on the debate stage and saying, "Oh, we're going to take them away,"
Yeah, but
that's what they're saying.
No,
if
it's
you
not.
start chipping at the Constitution and start with
Oh
one
my
thing
God.
and the other thing and the next, pretty soon
That's
the
so
restrictions are, "Yay, I have a single shot shotgun."
what's
that-
wrong with that? You can still defend your home if you have an intruder. Or double barrel. That's what I've been saying this whole time.
And
So
I'm not.
it's
And
just-
I'm not trying to go there. I'm just trying to make a point. So
All
don't
right.
take offense to this.
I don't
Don't take offense to this. I have children. I have 2 female daughters. And when you have a kid and it's there and you have something to protect that's yours, that you're raising and growing up and you're trying to learn right from wrong. So help me, if anybody ever thinks they're going to kick in the door and hurt them after that situation of being a parent, I don't care if I have a fucking 20 round mag. I'm going to fire that magazine in my house when you're trying to hurt my family and or kids.
Yeah, and in all fairness, like, I have a lot of love for your family and would do the same thing if I was sleeping on your couch and something went down. But there's so... Okay, not only is that such a tiny likelihood of it ever happening, there are so many other things that could happen involving your firearms that you own that are much more likely to occur. And that's what's scary about the prevalence of firearms. Like, for example, and this is just, and I'm gonna tie it up too because we're at 46. But you're not home, nobody's home. Everything's gravy. This happened to friends of mine. People broke into their house and stole their firearms, and among other things, while they were all out. They cased the joint, they made sure they weren't there, they broke in, stole everything to include their firearms. Now, those firearms could be used in a crime. Yes, it's the criminal's fault, obviously, but the availability of the firearm is now in the hands of a bad person, so the law-abiding citizen who did everything correctly lost his firearm, and now it's out on the street. Like, that's just one tiny factor, not even talking about suicides
You know what
or
it sounds like?
misfires or
and we're
anything
going to wrap
else.
it up with this one comment. You know what it sounds like your friends did wrong?
Went to work.
They didn't have somebody that knew about security systems to better protect them.
Alright, that's a good start. We'll see you in part 3.
All right, part 3. We're gonna continue on. We're gonna do this because this topic has got me heated and that 40's getting warm. So every week we pop open the local brew. We finally got the sticker on. Jack remembered it from last week, but this week we went to Four Noses Brewery. They're technically in Broomfield, Westminster.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Border.
Yeah, right there, just east of the Rocky Mountain Airport. They always have great beer. It's not the time of the year for my Cinnamon Toast Crunch beer.
It's coming.
It's coming. That's more in the spring. But this year, I went up there, and I actually had to call Jack at work. I was like, bro, they got like 5 million flavors right now.
Uh-huh.
So this week, Four Noses Brewery, really good stuff. A little bit different crowd. If you're dressed like me, you want to be dressed like him probably when you walk in there. Luckily, I actually went to the golf range and was hitting a bunch of golf balls, and you have to have a collared shirt. So I walked in my collared shirt, and I felt a little bit more comfortable in that
country club kind of thing.
Yeah, country club thing. So we got a pumpkin ale.
Nice.
It's actually, I kind of like this with the flavored brews, is the alcohol volume is just like around 4.1.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy, but tasty. So we're going to bust this out, try some pumpkin ale from Four Noses Brewery.
Right on.
The Mammoth glasses.
The Mammoth
glasses. Their trade today, for people that don't know, I won't go into it, but their trade today was horrible. That's why I didn't renew my 6 years of season tickets.
Damn, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn.
I actually got to go to their first home game in 2003 before I moved to Michigan and had season tickets their first year, but of course...
Oh, damn.
That's going to be dangerous.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Bubbly
crazy.
pumpkin pie.
For everybody who's jealous,
You should be.
yeah, it's basically like a spicy pumpkin pie, but in a beer.
That is really good.
Oh, that's crazy.
Good job, Four Noses.
Right?
All right.
I had the coffee last week. If you want to take this one home tonight, either or, I'm going to make sure
I'm
and
not gonna be mad about it.
I'm going to make sure and fill this glass. And
All right. So we're low on time, but that's okay. I'm gonna be super fast. So with the facts, and then maybe one each in the bucket, and then we'll wrap up. But first off, on a super sad note, and it hit me harder than I thought it would. But Cokie Roberts passed away today, and she was I'm gonna go ahead and say lifetime correspondent for NPR and also ABC News. I think she worked at NPR for like 40 years and ABC News for like 30 years. She was a women's advocate and just a damn fine journalist for her entire career, and she will be missed. So rest in peace, Cokie. Now, on to random other facts. This day in music, in 1923, Hank Williams was born.
Oh,
Legendary country singer. He only lived to be 29 because he was heavily involved in drugs, and that happens.
he liked to party hardy.
Yeah, so 29, but many country singers would credit him as an inspiration, and so Hank Williams was born on September 17th in 1923. This is also the anniversary in 1967. The Doors were banned from the Ed Sullivan Show because pre-show, Jim Morrison and the producers of the Ed Sullivan Show made an agreement regarding that.
No, I'm trying to watch the chat. See if there's anything important on the chat.
That he would not say, "Girl, we couldn't get much higher," which is one of the lyrics in Light My Fire. And he was like, "Yeah, of course, whatever." And then on the live broadcast of the show, he was like, "Come on, baby, light my fire." And they were like, "You're banned forever." And so that was Jim Morrison saying, "Screw the man and screw censorship." So that was cool. Last fact about music. This is also the anniversary in 1978 of Queen filming their official video for their single Bicycle Race, which is super familiar to everybody, especially because of the movie and all that stuff. But it's one of their most popular singles. But the video, they hired 65 professional models and had them get naked and ride bicycles around the track of this stadium while they played the whole song. And they did it, they filmed it, it was exactly what they wanted, and they're like, "Cool, here's your bicycles back." And the guy they rented them from was like, "Wait, what'd you do to my bicycles?" And made him buy all the bicycle seats. Because he was like, "I don't need that stank." Alright, so that's music. In history today, Quick shout out. 2 days ago was the official beginning, but September 15th through October 15th is Hispanic Heritage Month. So I just think that should be announced and more readily celebrated. We have a very high Hispanic population in Colorado, which is awesome. But yeah, so celebrate Hispanic heritage with those you know and love.
I'm going to back up real quick.
Okay.
Eddie Money. Take
right.
Me Home Tonight.
That's right.
The remake with, and I'm going to say it wrong because he pronounces it better. Topher Grace.
Yeah.
I love. The wife actually hates that movie because there isn't a month that goes by that I watch that movie, and it was just an awesome. I'm an '80s guy.
Yeah.
Love it. He actually passed away also, I believe, on I want to say Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
So another
Eddie Money, yeah.
Another '80s icon.
And the third was Rick Akashik, who was the lead singer of the Cars.
Yep.
And so that was, and the Cars are weird. Like if you haven't exposed yourself to their music, they were in the punk rock scene, but their songs are so like happy. Like it was like, so they were, in my opinion, they were punks for the punk scene, because punk was like screw the establishment and anarchy forever and like screw our parents or whatever, and they were like, yeah, I see what you're doing with the punk movement, but we're gonna do our own thing, which is punk as hell. Right. And they had like happy songs and radio friendly songs, and so they got tremendously popular. And
well, and the funny thing with the Cars is they're one of those bands like War that if you told a certain device in your house, I don't even want to say it because there's one in the garage, play songs by the Cars, like 9 out of 10 songs you'll sit there and you can probably sing a lyric to.
Oh, for sure.
And you're like, wait a minute, they did this?
Yeah.
I mean, just very familiar songs that you didn't even know was them.
Yep. And that's the three. Okay. All right, history. In 1630, way back then, Boston, Massachusetts was founded, which is insane to me. Like 146 years before the Declaration of Independence was signed, Boston was founded.
I ain't even doing the math. So.
Like that's bonkers. So right on, Boston. In 1787, speaking of the Declaration of Independence and our history, 1787, on this day, the U.S. Constitution was signed. Only 9 out of the 13 states ratified it initially, which actually took some fighting, which is the nature of our country. And so, but I think it was like a few months later, maybe a couple years later, that all 13 signed on and ratified the Constitution. But that was cool. I didn't realize it happened on September 17th. But like I knew it was in early September. Anyway, and so today. In 1849, on this day, Harriet Tubman successfully escaped slavery. And that's when she began the Underground Railroad and helping other people escape slavery as well. So, right on Harriet Tubman. In 1925...
I know. The garage door is open and the lights are on, so we're getting some bugs.
In 1925, Frida Kahlo, who's one of the greatest artists in Mexican history, like from Mexico, and arguably one of the greatest artists ever, certainly in the 20th century, was involved in an accident. And the accident was like a trolley car and another car, something like that. But either way, she wound up with a metal rod through her pelvis and into her spine, and as a result, she was put into a full body cast for like 3 months. And trying to occupy her time, she decided to start painting, and gradually learned of herself that this is what she preferred. So she abandoned the field that she was studying at the time and became a full-time painter and influenced generations with her art. So that was an important day for Frida Kahlo and for art history. Only a couple more. Lord of the Flies was published today in 1954. NASA unveiled their first ever space shuttle, which kind of looked like a wonky plane. But it was called the Enterprise. Star Trek. But that was 1976.
We need to talk about Project Paperclip sometime.
Okay, we'll put that on the list. Yeah. And then 96, Oprah launched her book club. which I don't know anybody that hasn't heard of Oprah's Book Club, but it launched on this day in 1996. And only a couple game facts, I'll make it very fast. This one, and just tech. Linux was invented on this day, and published rather, in 1991. Like, Linux revolutionized the world again, and so
it was a guy who actually went against the establishment, saying you're not going to force me to buy a software and all this other stuff. I'm going to make my own software and open it up to the world and let people have it.
Yeah, an open source kernel. He revolutionized everything, and so many companies use Linux, and he changed the world. Like a college student in Finland changed the world. Like all these other facts, and the nerd in me is like, holy shit, Linux. But in video games, Kingdom Hearts came out in 2002. I never personally played it, but I know a lot of people did and loved it. And in 2013, GTA 5 was released on this day and made $500 million their first day of sales. And that's just crazy impressive, GTA 5. Alright, that's it for facts. 9 minutes. Nice.
Boom. Cool. All right. Before the podcast, we started talking about some things, and we're like, stop! We got to talk about this. One of the, I will call an icon in the movie and music industry, Rob Zombie.
Oh, yeah.
Actually just released selective theaters last night. Friday it'll be around the nation. Three from Hell.
The conclusion of the trilogy.
Yep, the trilogy. For people that don't know, one of the greatest, in my opinion, trilogy has actually completed. House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects. That was the probably first and only movie I still have issues watching.
Okay, yeah, and I can understand that.
It's just the moral good and bad. I just there's some parts like in the hotel room I just cannot watch some of that.
Totally with you.
And then
even the beginning. Anyway, talk about this one, and then I want to talk about Devil's Rejects.
Yeah. No, and then Three from Hell comes out. Sig, and I can't remember his name, the clown.
Sid Haig.
Unfortunately, for those that follow Twitter and other Facebook pages, he had an accident about 5 days ago. He's actually in the ICU. His wife is texting some things.
Shit.
So prayers and wishes to him that he gets well and better. Three from Hell comes out, and I will probably Sunday go see that.
Yeah.
After my new adventure that we'll talk about. But all this came around, and we'll come back to Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Because Jack watched 31.
Another Rob Zombie flick.
Another Rob Zombie flick. Like it? Dislike it?
I thought it was good. I thought it could have been better, but I like what Rob Zombie does the majority of the time, and so yeah, for what it was, I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yesterday, Rob Zombie was actually on Joe Rogan podcast. Very interesting. Stupid smart guy.
Yeah, I dig him a lot.
He actually, a part of it is when he signed his first record with Geffen, he denied 4 other people's offers. He's like, nah, another one will come around. Nah, someone else will come around. And finally Geffen stepped up, and they're like, yeah, well, we rejected 4 other people, so why not go with them?
That's cool. Wait, was that White Zombie or Rob Zombie, for the record? Probably White Zombie.
Probably White Zombie at the very beginning, when he was in the group. Side note, facts, 31, Rob Zombie was actually initially given a ton of money to be like, do what you want. Here you go, make a movie. He made the movie, and after he submitted the movie, the people came back and they're like, this ain't gonna work. You're not gonna get paid if you produce this movie. We're not releasing this movie. So he had to go back and actually change so much of it. It's a little cheesy. A lot of the gore and violence and stuff.
There was some cheese, yeah.
Yeah, it was actually like you're watching it like, get him! No, I can tell that's fake. Because he had to go back. So I wish at some point, Rob Zombie, buy the rights to that movie that you made and just release the original cut. Please.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, heck yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he can do that. I don't know much about that industry, but All right, we're gonna finish on Devil's Rejects.
Oh heck yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll be quick about it because we're over an hour already. But so Devil's Rejects, in my opinion, is one of the top horror ever for one very specific reason. So there is horrifying imagery and way too realistic gore, and it's a lot of people will be offended by it, and I don't see any problem with that. It is offensive in those aspects, but that is the intention. The intention is to horrify you and have you be disgusted by it. If you're into that thing, you've probably already seen it, but if you're not into that thing, you probably want to steer clear, because they push many envelopes in that flick. But the reason I put it in the top echelon for horror ever is because that is the only movie I've ever seen, and I'm a huge fan of horror, that they start you out hating, utterly hating the characters that the movie features. And in the finale scene, these pieces of horror badness they finally survive this situation, because like it turns and yada yada yada, and I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I don't really care because 2 people are watching this. But there's a scene
Thanks,
at the very
Grandma.
end.
Appreciate it.
They're in a car and they're trying to like get away to their freedom and everything, and they've been the bad guys who you have hated, but they're also the main characters, are beaten to shit. They're barely alive, and all of a sudden they come upon a police blockade, and they're just gassed. They're like. And they start playing Freebird, which is one of the greatest songs of all time. And
You know what's gonna happen when
and
they
you're
start
like,
playing Freebird.
oh hell yeah! And they just grab the steering wheel and floor it. And then the dad and the daughter sister are like, bah! And the son's out his door like, bah!
And everybody's like, yeah,
and
we know you're
and
gonna
the cops
die.
are shooting at him, and you're like, holy shit! And then it's like credits, and it's like, oh my god, I was just cheering for those horrible human beings.
Right.
And that is an absolute credit to Rob Zombie. There's no other movie that's ever done that, where I judged myself afterward for cheering for these horrible humans that he built and displayed before me. Like, Devil's Rejects is an incredible achievement.
All right, we got a few minutes. We're a few minutes over. We're gonna go ahead and do this just so we do one each.
All right.
We're pulling from the bucket. Jack will go first. Random topics that we discuss. And,
Oh, okay. Undershirts. Yay or nay?
do you go because you pulled it, or do you
Yeah,
ask
I
me?
go.
Okay.
I've worn an undershirt my entire life. My dad inspired me to do so when I was a little kid, and now I feel naked without one. Like, wearing a regular t-shirt or button down or anything without an undershirt feels super weird and uncomfortable. I swear by them. I think it reduces the amount of sweat that actually makes it out to my forward shirt. I just feel comfortable, feel a little safe. I am a huge fan of undershirts, and I do like the little like A-shaped ones or whatever.
And you grew up in Michigan, right?
Correct. Yep.
So I moved to Michigan in 2004. Okay. Michigan has the most horrible cold weather in the world. They also have
pretty dim.
humidity.
Yeah.
I didn't know what an undershirt was, and unfortunately, it's laundry night. I don't even want to say what's underneath because all my clothes are up in the washer right now. I learned real quick in Michigan. Somebody gave me a tip for being cold. I'm a city boy going to Michigan, West Michigan. They're like, "Where's your undershirt?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Seriously, put an undershirt on, tuck it in, and you will literally stay warm with
Yeah.
the t-shirt on in a Michigan winter for a lot longer when walking back and forth to a car, shoveling snow.
Faux sure.
The biggest thing is you just tuck it in, keep that heat in,
Yeah.
and especially with the humidity, like you said, it pulls it away from your body but keeps it in the shirt.
Yep.
So
I love it.
one a day, it's nice.
And they're white, so you throw it in with all your other whites, you're good to go.
No,
Yours aren't white?
I do one load of laundry a week.
Okay.
If it's white, I don't own it. Mine are black.
Okay, my bad. Mine are white.
Nope, I do my own laundry, and I'm not separating anything. The basket for the week goes in the washer.
Wait, what about your socks? Your socks are black?
Yeah, they're black too.
Oh.
Well, but I don't even have socks on now because Everything is literally in the wash. I'm that desperate right now. We're not going to talk about other
No, we're not.
undergarments.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, but no, it's in the washer.
Oh, that's fun. Because white undershirts, white socks. Those are my whites.
Yeah, I don't. I do one load of laundry. After many years, I don't make anybody wash my own dirty, nasty clothes except myself.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
yeah.
All right.
I ain't separating nothing. Oh gosh, no, this one's gonna be way too long.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, way too long. I was like, oh, I don't want to. Here we go. Good.
All
All right. Best board game.
Oh, okay. You first. You pulled it.
Okay, so when I was younger and had a lot more patience, there was 2 games that I constantly played, depending on time.
Okay.
The number 1 game was, of course, Risk.
I did love some Risk.
Risk, and I think it's the same game, Access and Allies.
Yeah. I mean, they're super similar.
Yeah.
But I get you.
Loved it. My family could not play Monopoly because we literally would kill each other 60 minutes into
You're
the
not, you're not alone in that.
So Risk and or Access and Allies was a great game. Took a few hours, had fun.
Mm-hmm.
You could still be mad and upset, but go away.
Well, shit, like an official Risk would take like days potentially. Give you.
Yeah. It might be crazy, it might be not, but Stratego.
Oh my! Thank you for bringing up
Right?
Stratego. That game
Loved
was
it.
so cool.
You could lay out your troops. People had numbers of who was higher, who was lower, generals, privates, whatever. You put them
Yeah,
however
the
you
spy,
wanted. Yeah.
the bombs. Stratego was so cool.
Yeah. Move forward. You can get through it in less than 30 minutes and have fun. And
Yeah, I
be good to go.
freaking love that game, man. That was such a good one. I'm going with chess. It's technically a board game,
course.
and I'm a giant fan of chess, and it's a sport regarded well around the world. We can get into sports and
Anything's a
later.
sport now.
But I don't necessarily even agree that it's a sport. It's a competitive activity.
Yeah.
I absolutely love chess. I love playing it. I love finding people who are better than me that I can learn from. Like, I think chess is, without being too egotistical, I think playing chess is similar to other base activities that I think kind of should be in the average person's repertoire. Like, if you can be like, hey, let's have a couple drinks and play chess, or have a couple drinks and play cards, or various other activities. I think chess is a necessity for prediction and anticipation and reading a person, and I think it's just valuable in a lot of different ways. And if you haven't learned, you should learn.
Well, and I think it was the back in the day, 30s, 40s, 50s. Chess was kind of like the Texas Hold'em. You could actually read people. You could actually get strategies and work people out on that.
And without chess, you wouldn't have chess boxing, which is freaking fantastic. Go YouTube that shit because it's awesome.
Chess boxing.
I
just thought of Rock'em Sock'em Robots. I was like, yeah.
No, you have the timer, which for professional chess, you have a timer, and they have a certain amount of time. They make a certain number of moves, and then they have a round of boxing, and then they go back to playing chess. And the first one to be checkmated or knocked out loses.
Oh, we're watching that.
Like, chess boxing's fantastic.
Oh, okay, so here's a question with chess. Is everybody's always hitting the timer?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you have more time on your timer than the other person, and you get them in checkmate,
you win.
So what is the friggin' timer for in chess?
Forcing your move. So if you run out of time before
So
either of you have checkmate, you lose.
Okay, so
Like, yeah.
so at the beginning of chess, you're set up with say 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
that's okay.
Yeah, so
Because every time it's
stopping
like
your
everybody's
countdown.
stopping
Yeah.
something, and I thought it was counting up, not down.
Yeah, it's counting down. Yeah.
And that's something that's regulated or agreed upon.
Yeah, based on the
before.
tournament or the regulations and that kind of thing, yeah. Or if you're doing a friendly game, you could be like, we're doing 5 minutes, so it's speed chess or whatever, or 2 minutes or something like that. But
All right, I hooked it up and I didn't use it, but I should have. The flame for the hot topics.
That should have been rolling the whole time.
Yeah, it should have been
for the first 40 minutes.
the whole time. No, new subscribers. We're oh, I hate that guy. Supercharged
Yeah.
Mustang that speeds down my street all the time.
He's definitely not compensating.
No.
No.
On a side note, thanks for watching on the channel. We have comments that are kind of working. If you watch this in the future, we reply or put something down for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
On there. We just appreciate it. We're just two normal guys that work together on different sides of topics, and we were like, let's get together and just talk about it.
Damn right.
And tomorrow we're gonna go to work together, and we're gonna take care of what we do, and nothing's gonna change.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the important part of the process is to have conversations you don't agree with, so that you can reach understandings from potentially the other perspective. That's the whole point. So please talk to people that you don't agree with, but don't get mad. There's no point to that. At the end of the day, shake hands and be happy, and I'll see you at work tomorrow.
Will do.
Thank you. We love you.
Thanks for watching.